Welcome to the Gaiomon gameplay guide for BT22. We are facing off against recieve, which is a new Atmon God deck that also came out in the same set. And this one's a little bit different, kind of uses the Atmon cards from BT21, but most of it is a new line, which is going to be quite interesting. We are going second. I decided to keep this hand just because even though it's not like the most optimal stack that I can build, but I felt like at least since I'm going second, I can draw a card and then I can also digivolve into the Agumon and use the red memory boost to try and find what I need, which now I luckily did have a Greymon to work with, so I can digivolve that into the back. Although the BT14 Agumon is best when you can kind of synergize with tie together to evo for free, which is great, but now I have the ability to climb up to the stack. I am playing Rizegreymon in this deck, which you guys can see as well, because I'm playing the Rizegreymon from BT22, and I just felt like I'd rather be able to climb up into a stack rather than no stack, even if it was suboptimal. So this is where things really start paying off. The opponent's going to go up with Musimon, link the Mediamon from their hand just to draw a card and chip out our security, but then with the Cool Boy check, we're able to grab ourselves a Gaiomon, which now we have the perfect setup to help us climb all the way up as we need. What even better is that we managed to get into a Rizegreymon here and can play out a red or black tamer for free, which is absolutely insane value. And the whole reason why I also play Rizegreymon X is because it also lets me play out a red or yellow tamer unconditionally for free as we climb up there too. So I'm going to raid and attack into their unsuspended Mediamon, and then now I'm going to go into Rizegreymon X to play out Kyoko for free, setting up all my tamers that I need, suspend Cool Boy to gain a memory and draw a card back as well. And now I can try to see how I could end this turn. So I wanted to go into possibly a Gaiomon, but I felt like I didn't really necessarily need to, so I just ended the turn with a red memory boost. But looking all the way back, I can actually play out very aggressively. Instead of just raiding into their Mediamon with the Rizegreymon, I could have just all the way evolved up into the new Gaiomon, and its effect lets me attack anyways when I digivolve, and I could swing for their security for all their checks, potentially even raid as well with its own effect, gain additional DP plus for Kyoko, gain Digimon effect protection as well at the same time, and then pierce for almost 4 checks in their security, putting the opponent down to 1. And that would have been a much better position for me so that I can actually pressure for lethal in the next turn. You guys can also see I'm playing a level 7 Spice in my deck, which is the Agumon Bond of Bravery in my hand, which I can easily then digivolve for 3 since I start my turn at 3 anyways, and then I could just swing and then it will trash the last security and it would have been all over for them. Now, the reason why I didn't go for that play was because I wasn't too sure exactly what the opponent's deck does. The Rizegreymon, the Atmon deck is still relatively new to me at this moment of filming the video when we're playing. So I just felt like I want to be careful. I didn't want to end up giving them too much value and security. I know it's their potential turn that they can still clap back if I can't get rid of the Musimon as well. So I want to give them as little memory as possible to work with in case I give them like a memory setter, a bunch of options that they can easily climb up all over again. And that's the whole reason why I decided to take it a little bit slow for this particular game. But despite that, I feel like the opponent was actually able to find a way around this to still get rid of our stack entirely. So they do link the Gossipmon to grab something back with their Musimon. Musimon's going to let them play out the other tamer for free without paying the cost. And now they're going to link with the Entermon, which is going to rack up a bunch of DP reductions, which is enough to actually get rid of our Rizegreymon X, and we lose our entire stack over there overall, which is rather unfortunate, but that's okay because I feel quite confident in this following turn that I was able to reclimb all over again. I'm digivolving into Agumon at the back. I can establish another tie, but I felt like, okay, maybe I could just try to grab some more stack building pieces, which I do find the Rizegreymon here, which is going to be fantastic for me later on as well. And then that way I have 3 tamers to work with, 2 memory boosts. In the following turn, I can make a huge clap back play. The opponent does start at 4 memory though because of their tamer being able to gain 1 each at the starter main. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and link their MCmon into their Musimon, and then now they can app fuse to go into Mediamon and still keep at 4 memory, which is pretty nice, and they can pretty much climb all the way up to their potential level 6 or their God Atmon. Looks like they're gonna digivolve into a Fakemon right here to link something back from the trash. So they're gonna link the Gossipmon, and then that way they can grab the Navimon, and then now they're gonna discard off the Gossipmon by linking with the Entermon right here, and then use their other tamer, suspending it to app fuse into their God Atmon right here, which is going to be Rizegreymon. Rizegreymon lets to play the Digimon from their hand for free, so they can play out Navimon, and then also because something was played out, it can link something back within the sources to gain their link effects and extra DP buffs. So it looks like they're going to go for the Fakemon, so that gives them the scapegoat ability, and eventually the next turn they're going to start attacking us with Alliance and can deal a lot of damage. But this is the turn that we push out anyways. We start our turn at 3 memory. We're going to gain a lot of memory along the side with Kyoko, Cool Boy, Digivolving into our X antibody line. I am playing the red base for this particular one this time just because I really like the aggression overall, alongside again like with Rizegreymon X and Rizegreymon together. I'm really trying to showcase the amount of power that we can really ramp up to play out Tamers, which is really important for this deck. So we're going to crack the boost out here, and then we're just going to Digivolve into our BT22 Gaiomon, and now we can raid over the Uranusmon. Thanks to the Rizegreymon X, we're able to get rid of that Navimon so they can't scapegoat to protect the Uranusmon. We can get rid of the big stack, you know, take down all the hard work that they did, and now we'll pierce for a bunch of checks. And like I said earlier, the reason why I didn't go for that initial play right there to give them that much, they do have a memory setter and find quite a lot of value in their security, all because of that. But the nice thing of this particular position compared to the other turn when I could have went for it is that they don't have a Digimon on the board that they can work with right away. So here they have to rebuild all over again. They have to find a way to play outside. They still get a lot of value just because they have that memory setter plus the other 2 memory that they get from Torjiro at the start of main, since we do have a Digimon. And now if they're not able to sustain and stay within the game or find a way to defend themselves this particular turn, next turn we're going to go into that Agumon Ace to surprise them and just trash their last security and swing for game. Easy peasy. We also have Omni X to work with as well if we ever need to go into it to go for the actual additional attack. So lots of choices right here for us to finish for the game, and this is just the perfect stack that really paid off just by keeping that hand. Arguably we definitely got lucky, but that's kind of like how it works with stack based decks. You got to kind of find your way to build the best stack as you can, if you can find those pieces. If not, at least have something on the board. This is pretty crazy. They have Dreammon, now they have Effectmon as well. They were able to fuse into a Fakemon to tuck a Gossipmon with the link effect back, and then now they hard evil back into an Uranusmon all over again, and then Uranusmon can help them play out something and establish like a bit of a board. But they don't have enough defense because the Recomon that is the only link monster that they kind of have currently on their side that is able to defend them. So maybe not too sure, maybe they got something that can like surprise against us, but it doesn't seem like there's anything that they can really interact against us if we try to attack them in the following turn. So I'm just trying to be as careful, as wary as I can and try to see, but I'm going to gain a lot of memory at the start of main. If I ever choose to climb up, I can set up another Agumon just in case. But I feel like if I don't end them this turn, they will likely potentially go for a lot of attacks because they do have Alliance and a lot of damage. So I'm going to go ahead and swing. I was considering, oh, maybe I could just raid over the Uranusmon anyways and gain like a bunch of DP since I pierced anyways. But there is the fake one that has Scapegoat, which they can easily just protect it. And then because they protect it from being deleted, the piercing is not going to be happening. So ideally, we basically just thought, okay, yeah, it doesn't make sense to do that at all. Let's just go for security, even though we don't gain the DP buffs with Yuuko because we didn't redirect an attack, but at least we just go straight for security. They weren't able to stop us, and we can just finish it off with Omni X there instead. This game, we're going to up the challenge and try to face against Imperial Blue-Green and see if we can actually do just as well with our potential God stack. We are going first right here. I was thinking for a second that I could keep this hand. I know there's no rookie, but I could just play the red memory boost and I find one. Everything else that I need within the line is in my hand to Digivolve up to a 4 or 5 and then so on. I could work my way through. That would have been pretty nice. So all I was missing was a rookie, but in the end it's like, maybe I can't take this risk because if I don't find a rookie, it's all over for me. I only got one chance for this, and Mulligan hand looks a little bit better. I have a line that can climb up, so I'm going to go ahead and Digivolve Agu into Agu X. Generally, I like to keep the Agu X in my hand for potentially pushing out an Agu and then Evo it in the battle area so that I can search. But I felt like I needed to cycle through more cards, which is why I end up Digivolving it in the back anyways. And then, because in this particular matchup, I think having anything that can protect us from bottom decking or returning to hand, which Imperial does, would be very helpful. Even though they do strip sources with Davis and Ken, I will have to admit, this is actually quite a tough game to play and battle through. So I have my Tamers here, and I'm just thinking, do I want to give them 3 memory just by dropping like a memory set or tie? And then that way they're going to gain a lot. And I think it's still early enough that I feel like I don't want to end up giving them too much memory to work with in case they can just go crazy and do their Powerdramon combo. And I want to take it slow a little bit, which in the end I decided to evo the Rizegreymon in the back and forego its when Digivolving effect. And I felt like, okay, I can find a different opportunity to play a Tamer because I have a Rizegreymon X here now, so I can use Proto Form, reducing the cost by 1, making it evo for free essentially. And then now I get to play out my memory set or tie. I get to get rid of that Wormmon. I felt that was just a little bit of safer play. Now I'm considering to go for the offensive play so that I can Digivolve into a Gaiomon and deal a ton of checks, hoping that we don't give them value in their security, but then that means we can start pressuring potential lethal in the following turn if they don't have the pieces to answer us, because I'm going to swing with this Gaiomon. The BT21 allows me to attack when I Digivolve either way, and it's pretty much going to be for 3 checks. And then the next turn, if they're not able to respond and stop us from doing anything, then we'll swing for the rest of the 2 checks and Agumon's going to finish the game off like easy. So they have to push out and do something. But with double Davis and Ken, wow, look at those rookies. They're definitely ramping up and grabbing all the pieces that they need. They should be able to easily DNA into what they need here and pretty much lock down our board. And that's the power of a blue-green Imperial here with the speed of it once it has its pieces. Going into the BT12 staying, they're going to go ahead and DNA to go into Powerdramon, able to gain a bunch of memory back and strip away a total of 6 sources and suspend down our entire board, leaving us with pretty much nothing left in our Gaiomon stack. And yeah, that's why I mentioned earlier, you know, having protection is nice against like bottom decking or returning to hand, especially in this matchup, because that's what they do with their main source of removal. But now with all those sources gone, man, that's just so tough. They go ahead and swing over our suspended Agu, checking into a level 4 Greymon, which I will mention later on is rather important. And now they swing into our second security, which is going to be the Gaiomon promo, which with jamming, of course, we know how fast this deck really is, and being able to deal all that damage. This is the moment where if we actually had the Agumon Ace, that would be pretty sick, because we'd be able to counter and like try to delete their board. But they will partition out and they might have another level 5 to DNA into, but if they don't, we'll be in a much better position as well. So yeah, that's the reason why I run the Agumon tech, because I felt like it's actually quite a neat surprise against the opponents, which they don't like kind of expect sometimes. So now they're just going to play down another Wormmon, and they're going to go into Dragon Ball, locking our tie out as well, which is not really going to matter in this particular case because we don't really need to suspend the tie to begin with. And now I'm sitting in a position that I really need to think about, like, how can I try my best to survive? Like, I should probably give them as little memory as possible if I can, because I really actually wanted to play like the red memory boost and then to dig deep, search for like a Greymon particular card, like specifically a level 4 Greymon. And then I could go for the blocker 3-cost blocker tie, which can give me like extra 1000 DP and blocker constantly to defend myself. But I feel like if I give them 3 memory, they can easily just DNA all over again. But to be honest, like with Davis and Ken, that's not much of a challenge for them either way, because they can just go into this XV, suspend one of them, gain 1 memory back, and then now use the end of turn, do the same thing, go into another Powerdramon, stripping our final source, locking our board once again. With that, the BT61 is just incredibly strong. Here we luckily found a cool boy in our security, which is fantastic. Now we get to grab a Gray X, but the only unfortunate thing once again is because the starter main of the BT14 Agumon only allows us to Digivolve into Greymon, and Greymon X doesn't count because it has to be Greymon, not even Greymon in name. So the opponent's board is just insanely established with a ton of Digimon on their side, and we are just really trying hard to backpedal all the way back and even try to see if I have a glimpse of hope. And that's why I kept on mentioning Greymon, because we found another Greymon in security, which is a total of 3 Greymons there. And if only I had a Greymon, guys. If only I had a Greymon. But it looks like they end the turn with the starter deck Dragon mode here. We do start at 3, because if I do have that level 4 Greymon, I might have a chance. I might actually have the slightest limit chance to make a potential comeback, but I don't much have a choice. I just have to Digivolve into Gray X, and then with only 2 memory to work with, I can't really further climb and still keep my turn at that point. So I have to admit it, guys, this is looking pretty doomed for us. We'll try our best. Regardless, maybe there's something we can find to turn around, because I do play the EX9 Metal Greymon here, which can let me tuck like a face down source, and I can delete like up to 7k of bodies on the opponent's side. So that means I can still at least get rid of like an XV plus the Wormmon and then like slow them down a little bit. But with like 4 bodies, like how do we actually clear this off? There it is. There's our Agumon ace right there that we can actually counter against the opponents. But now they're just gonna continue to do their Davis and Ken. Man, that double Davis and Ken just really paid off for them in the very beginning all the way till now, and it's just insane. So now we go into the Agumon ace. Gonna try to delete up to 14k worth of stuff by targeting a Draconic, of course, as well as the 2 V-Mons. But even with that, it's just too late because they got the Primogenitor. They go into fighter mode ace, bottom decking, gaining ace overflow, and they pretty much still swing for game. And unfortunately, they got it this time. This game, we're playing against Gaiomon as well as the Rizegreymon, new support for the Yao Liberator Sangomon deck in BT22 as well. We are going second, so I felt like, of course, this hand is good to keep. I have a rookie to work with, I have some searching cards as well, and I can also rely on what I can top deck to get that extra draw, which is not too bad. So the opponent is going to start off by hatching the Bukumon, so it looks like they're not playing the Puyomon egg, and that means they're going to be able to gain a lot of memory. And it's pretty insane seeing how much memory that the Gaiomon and the Rizegreymon and the fish deck can really do. Is pretty nutty. So here I decided to put them back to 1. I felt like this is a good opportunity just to establish a Yuuko. In case if they do push out and start doing things, I could gain a memory at the start of my main and also see how I can play from there. Just because I don't see the stack build to help me go into something like Rizegray or Rizegray X to play out a Tamer for free just yet. So I felt like there are some times in the part of the game plan is, aside from just trying to like be a bit too greedy to try to play your Tamers for cheap and cheat them out, it's better just to establish them a little bit on the board and play the memory gain a little bit there and then try to build into our stack eventually. It would be nice if we can establish a tie so that our Agumon can then digivolve into a Greymon for free, because we are gathering the pieces that we need, and the opponent also has a memory setter with Yao already, and we're not too bad in the position, because if I can't go into Greymon because of having tie for free like that, I could still go into Agu X and suspend Cool Boy and cycle through and get even more cards. So it looks like the opponent's going to end the turn with going into the Neo Marine Bullmon right here. And sometimes when it comes to the aquatic deck or the fish deck, they could be playing like a Metal Seedramon Ace, which is something we got to be worried about if we can. So I'm going to still go into Agu X first and then cycle, search, and then draw additional with Cool Boy and gain a memory. Also, as an additional tip, it is generally better to suspend Cool Boy to draw a card first before resolving the search of Agu X, so then you can sort of like see what you have in your hand and then decide and then pick up your pieces accordingly to get a little bit more information. So don't be like me right there. I'm going to go into Rizegray here. I'm not going to be able to play out a Tamer for free, unfortunately, because I have more than one already established on the board, but that's why I like running Rizegray X. Here, I'm going to go ahead and attack with the Rizegray, but using Raid. Because of having Yuuko, we can gain Digimon effect immunity, playing around a potential Metal Seedra Ace right there, which is really good for us, being able to remove the level 5 off the board, and then we can start attacking and start looking for aggressive plays. I'm going to go into the EX4 Gaiomon, which is going to shoot down one of their security since there's nothing to delete that's 13 play cost or higher specifically, even though I won't be able to use the end of turn effect of the Gaiomon right here to go into another one because I don't have another 13 play cost Gaiomon in my hand to use at the moment. But the reason why I specifically decided to end the turn with a level 6 is because I know they have effects such as the new Rizegreymon and the Gaiomon. They can bottom deck and try to get rid of our stack that way, and I want to make sure that we can use our sources to protect as much as possible, because then that way we don't have to expend as much. The reason is because if they go into Rugu, it bottom decks a level 5. If I stayed as a level 5 as Rizegray, then I have to trash away 2 sources such as the Agumon and Agu X. But if I'm level 6, the Rizegreymon wouldn't be able to bottom deck us, and the only way for them to bottom deck us at this particular moment would be Gaiomon. Otherwise, aside if they choose to go into, like, again, a Metal Seedra Ace, then maybe we might lose our stack off of there instead. But then we have the protection like the Inheritables, once again, to keep us in there as well. So that's the whole reason why I kind of went into that. They're gonna go into that Rizegreymon, exactly what I said, being able to attack a source, attempt to bottom deck at level 5, but because Gaiomon is level 6, so not going to be able to. And now the opponent is able to kind of pop off. You guys can see how crazily they can still kind of like make a comeback with all that, because they can use the Neo Marine Bullmon and such. The opponent did make a mistake and try to attack into our security right here, but I did catch it there and realize that they actually wouldn't be able to, because the Sangomon was played out off a scramble, so it doesn't have rush. And good thing that we caught it there, so then we were able to fix the game state. The opponent still has the Sangomon that they just pushed out from raising, so they could potentially try to do something alongside with the memory boost to gain additional memory to maybe even climb up to a different stack. But perhaps if they realized, they probably would have tried to digivolve into their Marine Bullmon and the Rugomon on that side instead to make advantage and make use of the Incredibles. It looks like they're going to go into Lanamon right here, and then they get to Techosaurus underneath, and also potentially look and see how they can attack. But I can't see how they can further proceed with this, so it looks like they're going to go for Gaiomon to try to end the turn, playing out a level 3, 4, and 5, which is pretty insane. And then they get to tuck something back underneath to attempt to bottom deck us. But thankfully, like I mentioned before, by having the Greymon X from BT9, we can strip away the 2 Agumon and the Agu X sources, the 2 level 3s, to keep us there. They also stun down our Yuuko from the Rugomon as well, so that's not the worst thing for us. We don't really get to redirect attacks at this moment since they don't even have blocker on the side of the board. I can actually try to pressure from some damage, and then I do have the promo Gaiomon here right now, so I'm going to try to find a way to get into it. But first, I need to try to find a way to also proceed to the end of turn. So I'm going to go ahead and attack first. I'm going to deal some damage. I want to draw off the Koromon, and I'm going to pretty much deal 3 checks into their security, giving them a Yao and also just taking down the rest of their Digimon in there. I'm going to crack the boost now and then use the boost again so that I can go back to 1. And then that way I can use the end of turn effect of the Gaiomon from EX4 to digivolve into the promo Gaiomon, because I do have a Tamer. I can suspend Cool Boy, I can suspend Tai to gain 2 memory back, taunt something. Although I can't attack here, which is totally fine, but I do have reboot blocker plus extra 1000 DP, and now I just need to find a way to repass the turn once again, put them back to 3. So I felt like, you know what, since I have another red memory boost, let's play for another one, try to search for some more pieces and try to cycle, since we have a Agumon and Raising ready to come out in the following turn. If the opponent is not able to finish us off this particular turn, then we will definitely win the game in the following. We taunt the Gaiomon, so it has to attack. And thankfully, once again, the amount of sources actually really matter, because when attacking, Gaiomon also gets to tuck something underneath, and then they get to try to attempt to bottom deck us all over again. But at least we have the 2 level 4s to work with. They use the Yaoqing Lang from BT22 to play another Yaoqing Lang. They're going to go ahead and swing, Techosaurus, of course, attempting to bottom deck us. But of course, we have the protection here, and then we're going to proceed to blocks. And since an attack target has redirected, we can now suspend Yuuko and gain Digimon effect immunity for the entire turn, and also trashing their last security. And with a Gaiomon that is like immune like this is fantastic, because like I mentioned, a lot of their effect removal really comes from their Digimon, from again returning to hand or bottom decking. That's what blue main removal source is. So now a Gaiomon is completely unaffected, so they can't get rid of it. If they can't get rid of it, we can easily just swing with the Gaiomon and win like that as well. So the opponent still has 3 memory with a level 4 and a level 5 on the board that can attack, which still gives them quite a bit of room to potentially pull off some certain plays to maybe try to pressure or try to stay within the game at the same time. So here they're going to look like to play out the new Sangomon, which has the on play that can tuck itself underneath another Digimon, and then they can kind of give it like battle protection for the turn. So they're going to give that to Lanamon. Lanamon's going to go ahead and swing. We can't stop the attacks any further anymore since our Gaiamon's already attempted to block. Now they're going to gain a bit of memory at the end of attack as well. They can swing with the Marine Bull using the Memory Starter Yao to tuck a Seatraimon underneath to give it jamming, and then now use the other Yao to go into a Shangpingmon, which is a very strong other alternative level 6 to be playing this deck, because it can tuck something underneath there and then unsuspend and also gain 3 memory back and go for 2 checks, which is pretty scary because, guys, you can see now they play out the Seatraimon back with the Marine Bull inherited effect, and then they get to draw and gain 1 memory. They could potentially swing for 2 checks and even go for Omni Blitz Omni or Omni X for gain to finish us off. That could be pretty insane. And this, once again, guys, it would be really nice if we actually have like a Agumon ace to counter against them. But it looks like they don't really have much continuous play that can keep going. They go into a Huankunmon, so that's a level 5. I'm going to respect that because that could be a potential Metal Siege. So I'm going to push out the Agu, go into Agu X, cycle, draw, and do all that stuff and search. digivolve into Greymon. I don't necessarily need any more security attack +1s. I can gain a memory off of that as well. So then digivolve into Grey X, the one of my favorite, and now go into Rizegreymon. But that could have been a fatal misplay right there, because I actually should have digivolved into the EX9 Metal Grey instead to delete something at 7k and target that Hwangkunmon, which allows me to play around that Metal Seizure Ace. I mentioned it earlier, I should have respected it, but I completely forgot to do it during this course of the game, because if I swung there, they could have bottom decked our Rizegreymon. As a matter of fact, I should have digivolved into the Gaiomon first as well, so that even if they de-digivolve us, they won't be able to bottom deck the Rizegreymon X, but luckily they don't have it, so we still managed to finish them off. Draconic Blade is now live on the AVAULT Store, which is one of the most epic drops I ever released, and the first 50 people to order the full collection will get an exclusive memory marker during this time only. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is AVAULT signing